Ice.1. So this is the first episode of the Forever Film Crew podcast.
Oh, yeah.
We're in this lovely studio.
Shout out to the boy Andrew.
Yeah, man. Big up Andrew, you know?
Yep.
We made it.
We made it. This has been a long time coming. Not just what we're doing with FFC, which we'll get into in a second, but just this podcast. I mean, I think podcast nowadays has such a there's not like a taint on podcasts in general, but, I think that obviously there's memes about just everybody starting one. And it's like, oh, you're doing a podcast now. It's like, oh, is it going to be any good? It's like, well, I'm here to tell you it's going to be great. And let me kick it off by just introducing both of us and then going into a little bit of what FFC is and beyond. So I'll go ahead and start. My name is Walker Grossi. I'm a filmmaker, just graduated at the New York Film Academy in Burbank, California. And since I was a little kid, I've always had a passion for film, whether it was stop motion animation, skits, any device, cell phone, BlackBerry. Remember those BlackBerries back in the day? Little camcorders with the batteries in it. Not even a battery pack, like AA batteries. Yeah. That kind of vibe. And then until fast forward now, the game has changed and we're evolving. And, with FFC, me and JP just kind of curated both of our minds and interest to film to just really explore the idea of, putting other filmmakers on the map, but also, getting deeper into the message of what film is and what it means to not just me, but to the world.
Truly. I'm JP Williams, filmmaker from Jamaica.
Yeah.
Just graduated with Iceman at New York Film Academy in Burbank. Film is my passion, Similarly, I was filming on the BlackBerry and the disposable cameras.
Right.
And it was so much fun that I decided to pursue it as my career. And it's a true blessing, you know. FFC, it's in the title, Forever. Film is forever. And we want to create a capsule of information that can be shared with other filmmakers and film professionals and really highlight the service that is behind film. Film is a service business. Without the crew, you have nothing.
Yeah.
You can't be a one-man team and survive in this film industry. So we wanted to create a community space where people can share knowledge, become friends, network, collaborate, and have fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So let's kick it off. Tell us about your thesis project, Ice. You just graduated.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, so thesis project, it's a little film about a basketball player. It's called Double Dribble. Yeah. Still on the festival run right now, probably about the release of this. We'll hopefully be getting into a couple more festivals.
Nice.
But basically to keep it short, logline is this struggling basketball player who's just trying to make it to the league, make it to the professional level. And, he's also dealing with some struggles at home, hence the name Double Dribble. A little play on words there.
Gotcha.
And, he runs into a trainer that's kind of on the struggling boat as well. And they cross paths. And while they cross paths, they team up together and, they work together. Let me train you, I'm interested because, he's struggling, whatever. And then fast forward, we'll leave it at there. Go watch the film if you're at a theater near you, if it's around. But, so I think that was this film, Double Dribble, was it was sort of the height of everything, I think, in my film career, because up until that point, my knowledge and skills have been still in progress. They're still in progress today. I'm still working out the kinks. I'm still being the filmmaker I am, discovering that. But I think that was a proper showcase of I got this. This is like, I've moved to LA for this reason. I'm wanting to be involved in the film space for this reason because of that. And I think the reflection of everything of it, there's still a lot looking back at it that I'm like, okay, I still have work to do. Ultimately there's still a lot of ground to cover in the film space, but I think ultimately up to that point that really put me on the map for I got to keep doing this because, I think in the filmmaking space, and as artists, right? Not just filmmakers, but as artists, like we sometimes get discouraged. We sometimes like go, we hear a lot of buzz. We hear a lot of people say, "Oh, you sure you can afford that? It's too much." Blah blah blah. All these things, and then you're the person that has to decide to take those things or just not
cave in.
Yeah.
Cause people, without making it too religious, God gave us these visions for a reason. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
He didn't give it to everybody. He gave it to specific people. And so when you're going out and stepping out boldly into that vision, sometimes people won't understand. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And as a filmmaker, we're like entrepreneurs. We have to take on the risk of telling this story, even when people don't see the vision or don't see the end credits, much less the intro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So kudos for you for pushing through and getting it done. So how's the festival run been going? You mentioned that.
Yeah. It's been pretty good. I think it's definitely been a great experience because, I've in the past, like, when I was in film courses in Santa Barbara, I did a little bit of festival run. It wasn't anything crazy. It was like a festival put on by the school, actually, which was pretty cool.
Okay.
But up until that point, it hasn't been anything major. Like, I haven't really been in that kind of conversation or been around that environment before. So, getting there and seeing my film in the theater was kind of like, I remember going to the theater for the first time it was for the Marina Del Rey Festival in Culver City Theater. I remember getting there. I was like, I'm cool. I got the fit on, I'm looking cool.
Of course.
They got the little photo.
Glasses.
Had the glasses that, had the cologne going, it was a little everything, right? So, but getting there, everything up until that point, I was like, cool, level-headed, whatever. And then we're in the movie theater, and it really hit me when, like, because I had the little, what do you call it, the sheet of people that were going up. Yeah. So, like, the film right before mine. Program, yeah. The film right before mine, I was like, oh God, now I'm feeling it. Like my stomach's like, So, yeah, but just seeing, and I think a part of me why I was also nervous, not because of A, we're showing it, but B, because I'd run into like a little road bump with a DCP.
Ooh.
For those of you that don't know what a DCP is, it's a digital cinema package. Basically what that is like the format that festival uses in order to show your film, like in a projector sense. Right. Some festivals is just regular MOV or MP4, but in order for it to be compatible with the projector, use a DCP. So, but the hence side, what they do tell you in film school a little bit, but what I didn't really grasp was that DCPs are expensive. So they're like $200, $400 to get a DCP.
Really?
Yeah. So me being the cheap student filmmaker I am, I'm like, how can I get a little workaround? So there's a software called DCP-O-Matic that does it for the free. It's good. I mean, like, it worked for mine, it worked for yours.
Right.
But I remember they were like, their film, like, DCP guidelines were so strict. They're like, you cannot use outside sources, you cannot use softwares. And I was like, oh, they're not going to take my film, because if they said like, it's not compatible, you can't show your film. So I was like, man, I bet they're going to be tweaking, because I remember I sent it first as a Google Drive, and they're like, we can't accept this. I was like, oh God. So I sent it like as a WeTransfer, saying it was from someone else. Right. So, but I didn't hear anything back from them. So I was like, all right, I think we're good.
Right.
And in the theater, I remember we're in the theater, and like it's all black. And I'm like filming. I'm like, is it going to go on? It didn't go on for like a good 5 seconds. And I was like, oh, it's done. And then I hear the ticking the clock, like in the intro of the film, and I was like, yes. And then it looked cool. But yeah, I think, but overall, I think the festival run in particular, obviously it's still going on good. I got a lot of, one thing I think is very fascinating is a lot of the festivals, they won't start accepting till like next year, and you submit now, which is like a very, very wide window.
They take because it's also a business, right? So they want to accept as many they 100%. Want as many people to submit as possible.
Yeah.
For them to only accept a fraction. Right. So it is a waiting game. You kind of have to submit to a few and forget about it. For
sure.
And then when you get that email, it's all smiles. It's like Christmas morning.
Nothing beats waking up and getting the email. Not just seeing the email, but seeing that laurel. Seeing that laurel in the attachment. It's just beautiful. Yeah. But I think what's better than that is obviously the hardware. I mean, getting a trophy, getting a certificate. I mean, I've got a couple of certificates in my time. Fortunately, I'm still looking for, more hardware on the run, more festival runs. But I mean, you definitely have, a couple of trophies hanging on the little shelf. Tell us about that. Tell us about, the little festival run.
Yeah, so Believe is my thesis film. It's a story about resilience, a story about believing in yourself in the face of adversity or doubt. And it's a very personal story. We shot it at my grandma's house in Jamaica.
Yeah.
A young Jamaican kid wants to be a filmmaker, and his dad says, nah, film don't make no money. Film is a waste of time.
No, yeah.
So we put it out into the world at these festivals, and it aligned that my first festival was on the same day as graduation last year.
Right, I remember
December 13th.
Yeah.
The Film Good Festival, where we took home the audience award.
Yes.
So that was amazing. That was the first piece of hardware that we added to the shelf.
Facts.
Fast forward a few months later, I was in Tanzania, East Africa, for the Zanzibar International Film Festival. Beautiful, beautiful place. It's a small island, much like Jamaica. Beautiful sun, tropical weather, amazing people, and they host this film festival.
Yeah.
So I applied, and within a week or two, I got an email with them asking me to be the special guest this year.
Sheesh.
Which, I'd been to Tanzania and Zanzibar 4 years prior to shoot a film. So to be invited as their special guest 4 years later was like a full circle moment,
Right.
And then there we won the Chairman's Award. So that was also,
hardware.
I mean, hardware, of course. And then, just an amazing experience, to be welcomed by a place that feels like home. Was truly beautiful.
Yeah. I think one thing that really opened my eyes to film too, because, very grateful that, you got to bring me on the crew for your set in Jamaica. That was very, I've never been a part of anything that special. I think it was, obviously the aspect of being in another country was one thing, but just being in that environment and everybody coming together. And not only that, shooting on film.
Oh, yeah.
Now, before I get into my little tangent about me going on your set and everything, talk to me about the process of shooting on film. Not only shooting on film, but shooting on film in another country.
Yo. So firstly, my teachers, I hope you guys are watching, they said, you're crazy. they said,
word for word, you're nuts.
You're nuts, kid. And I was a little, crazy at the moment, but you have to be a little crazy to do something that's new. Yeah. So, we learned film in school at NIFA, both 16 and 35, and that was a whole lot of fun. I fell in love with it, learning it in class. So when it came around to thesis, I said, why not shoot 16? At first I was aiming for 35. And then I said, you know what, let me start with 16 first and, get my feet wet. So Ruben, he's my DP. Ruben and I would talk, for 3-4 weeks before we made the decision to shoot on film, going over, the type of film stock we're going to use, what kind of lighting is necessary, what are the risks we're traveling with it through the airport, how expensive is it, what ratio do we need to use, so I learned a whole lot about film, and I was able to then present it to my teachers again and say, hey, this is all that I've learned, this is all that we're doing to mitigate the risks, what do you think? And they still said, you're an idiot. And I was like, you know what, let's just do it. This is the time, why not, let's have fun with it. So
you quite literally rolled the dice.
Yeah, so we had a class when one of my teachers was like, here, come roll some dice, because you have, this low percentage chance of success. Let me show you. You roll the dice, right? So he had this die with 20 sides on it, right? It count from 1 to 20. So he said between 1 and 10, your chances of success are 0. You're going to fail between 1 and 10. And between 11 and 20, you'll succeed. So I said, all right. Bam, roll the dice. Land on 20, which is the highest chance of success according to this dice game, right?
Yeah.
So that was, that was a little message and reminder from God, for just stay focused and follow the vision that he gave you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, tell me about your experience now going to Jamaica. You flew down with the crew and with the film. How was that?
Yeah, that was, not only was that a great experience, it was my first time out of the country.
Jeez.
So to do it big like that, how do you get any bigger than that?
No, Jamaica is the best.
That's definitely big up to Jamaica. Love that country. But ultimately leading up to that, there was a lot that, went on behind the scenes, of course. I was definitely a little bit more cautious and, attentive when it came to the process of getting the film going through the x-rays. Cause I know that was a big risk. Still was a big risk, but honestly, I think every airport we went through was pretty chill about it. They weren't they were understanding, all right, let's be cautious because, obviously you're wishing for you're not wishing for the worst, but if the worst comes, you got to prepare for that.
You got to.
Right? You don't want them it's just some random TSA guy just, it looks scan it through and then film's done. Right? Film's done. But getting there in Jamaica and just getting right to the business of it was great because, I've been on a lot of sets where, you definitely, and quite frankly, you're working in the students. So everybody around you is growing. Everybody around you is learning. So you have to forgive a little bit of that. So it was nice being on a set where a lot of people were experienced. A lot of people in there knew what they were doing. They're on top of their game. So that helped a lot with the flow of things because, it wasn't just teaching someone what a C-stand is, It's they know what that is. But I think one thing that I always will just reflect on is that one night before the last day. So we somehow managed to turn what was it, a 15, 16-hour day or something?
Yeah, it was an 18-hour day on paper.
Bro.
And we turned it into a 9-hour day.
I don't know how, but so basically me and the crew, it was me, AC, DP, and producer. Right, James? Yeah. We're all staying at an Airbnb, courtesy of JP. And we were all just chilling there, whatever, eating food, whatever. And everybody was going to bed, but we were still on the topic of what we're going to do about tomorrow. So my position was kind of I was kind of a mix of a lot of things. I did most of the editing for the film, but there in person, I did a lot of AD work and just PA kind of just helping out. So I had to kind of kick it into AD mode. I was all right, what do we got here? Boy, what I saw, just so many numbers, so many and you got to understand, not even just so many numbers. We're working with child actors.
Yeah.
So
full class.
That was a very, So that in itself was another candidate of that. So we're just sitting there it's like Tetris. I'm okay, move this. But we got this. We got to have lunch. We got to start this. And
but do we have to have lunch?
Yeah, right. Can we just eat while we're filming? Yeah. So I don't know how we managed, but fast forward, it's 3, 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Mind you, I think we got to film at 6 a.m.
Yeah, call time was 6.
Yeah, call time was 6. Hop on a little bus, but dude, we managed to just look at that. And it says 9 hours and 30 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
Kid you not? And I'm just I don't know how we did this, but
somehow
we're here.
Yeah.
And now we got a great film. But I think, the greatest thing about that is just there's a lot of doubt that was going into that. I think, even not from teachers, but I don't think necessarily people around you were ultimately fully doubting. They were just a little nervous.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the word, not doubt, nervous. A lot of people were nervous that, we're so deep in, there's so many things going on, there's so many puzzle pieces, and it's just everybody's looking at each other is this going to happen? Are we about to make this film? And it's and then I just remember just being guys, trust the process.
Believe.
I remember in class, I'm going to point this out actually. I remember professor was how many of you guys think How many of you guys think JP should shoot on film? No one raised their hand except me. I was like, yeah, lock in. And then and then he goes, how many of you guys think he should shoot digital? Everybody goes, ooh. It's like, guys, like, trust the boy. And then he's like, see, easy or whatever. It's just something dumb. But I think, honestly, what I respect the hell out of you for is that was a moment of that was a test for you. I think that was the biggest test for you in this whole thing, because you could have backed down and said, all right, fine, I'll play it safe. Play it safe, whatever, go digital, which you could have definitely gone digital. It would have looked good, but the film aspect it adds the details, man.
Yeah, man, it adds the details, and film is all about the details.
Yeah.
And I must say, while I didn't, all the way agree with the teaching methods of the professors, I still value what I went through, because, as you say, it was a test. And if I didn't go through that, I would have, encountered it with some studio executive down the line and
you don't
shivering.
want that.
So I'm glad that I experienced that as early as I did. It made the film and the content of the film just that more special.
Yeah.
Just the fact that in the story, the protagonist is someone who is going through all of this doubt and people not believing in him. And that's the same thing that was happening to me in real life, you know? So it all just kind of came together so seamlessly.
Yeah.
Where it was a message to me, but it also was a message on the screen for the audience.
Right. That's it.
Yeah.
Shifting a little bit here, what's a moment on set that, looking back, it was just, because I feel like a lot of people on set have those moments where it's like things are like, it's like, all right, the iceberg is about to melt.
Yeah.
The glass is about to fall off the table and shatter, but it doesn't. It's right there, though. It's right about to tip over. So a tipping point moment that, like, if one thing didn't, if you didn't do a certain action that led to another, it would have fell apart. What was a moment like that?
Easy answer. So we were shooting this scene that eventually got cut from the film.
Yeah.
And in that scene, the entire class makes fun of the protagonist, and the protagonist is representing me, right?
Right.
And when I heard the class make fun of the protagonist and laugh at him, it hurt me so much that I had to leave the set. I had to take 5.
Yeah.
But remember, this is the same day that we turned from 18 hours to 9 hours. So we didn't have 5 minutes for the director to go get some air, you know what I mean? So luckily, Iceman over here jumps in and starts directing. He starts getting shots. He starts getting shots. He's doing his thing. So when I come back after like 15 minutes of like cooling myself down, because I was so overwhelmed, Ice already had some key shots done, shots that were integral to the flow of the film. So I think that was a moment where I realized that crew is so important.
Facts.
And crew that you can trust.
Yes.
Even when you're not in the room.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because Ice has been with me since inception of Believe. So he knew the story. He knew what had to be done. And of course, he was there when we were planning that 18 hours to 9 hours. So he knew like how important that 15 minutes was.
Because I was like, as much as like, I respect the director for taking time. Because at the end of the day, like, everybody's job is to protect the director. So in that moment, I was like, well, guys, like, we can't just sit here and do nothing. I'm like, well, I'm going to get up.
Yeah.
And I remember going to JP, I'm like, you good? He's like, yeah, get in there. You're like, go like it. I was like, all right, guys. All right, that's what we're going to do. And I talked to Ruben DP, and I was just like, all right, let's
burn some
the
film.
shot, like, there's like a couple of shots that, like, some inserts, some like, single shots that definitely could have got done. But it's one of those things where, like, again, we're running on such a thin schedule that 15 minutes, you got every minute counts. Especially counts. In that tight, like that, like, time we cut it down from 18 to 9 hours, like, like, we still have time, like, we have time to stretch, but at the same time, every minute, every second has to be accounted for, because You know, and you got to understand. Also, we're working with the implications of film, actual film. So we need time for the DP to go reload, and like that takes 10, 15 minutes in its own. We need time for wardrobe. You know, we have everybody. We have 10 to 15 people in different outfits, and even that. I mean, like because you were mentioning a little bit about, you know, because you had, you know, all the classroom scene, they were wearing different outfits. Like, even when you're mentioning, like, that wasn't really planned. Right. Like, you were just, like, saw that, and it was, like, a surprise to you.
So let me talk about that. Yeah. Our amazing costume wardrobe designer, Charles Baker, she surprised me with outfitting each one of the kids in their own career uniform. So the scene is career day, and in my mind, I just wrote it as the kids are in their uniform.
Right.
Charles said, no. We're going to put each one of them in their own career uniform to give them identity. Right. So we had a Bob Marley, who was a singer. We had a policeman. We had a basketball player. We had, you know, everything.
Yeah.
And that, again, is testament to having crew that you can trust.
Right.
Because nobody can get everything perfect. You have to be able to rely on other people, and for them to show that they're professionals and artists in their own right.
Facts.
You know, it was her artistry that was shining in that moment that ultimately added to the quality of the production.
Right. Yeah, because I remember just everybody coming in and like they're all fitted up, and like I remember JP's just face like, oh, okay, like it was like a little happy, like a little kid. But one thing that another thing I took on your set in the perspective was the details matter, you know, because what we see in the picture, it matters a lot. True. What's in the background, what people are wearing, what they're doing. It's like you could get away with some things, like you can definitely, you know, get away with someone wearing a different shirt, whatever. But like, you know, then comes the conversation that a lot of filmmakers know, continuity.
Yeah. So,
you know, there's definitely certain roles on the set that play that part. PD and script supervisor, those guys got to be on it. They almost damn near got to be in sync because, you know, when JP put this bottle down, was it on the left side, was it on the right side? Like, was he wearing this? Was the call, like literally down to the minute detail. And when you're dealing with people on, you know, bigger productions like such as, trying to think of his, David Fincher, you know, that guy is like super intricate. You know, that's the type of director, him and like Quentin Tarantino, those are the type of directors that are very precise, like the needle thin, like things need to be accuracy to the point. You can even argue Wes Anderson as well. He's very minimalistic and very sizes are. But, you know, I guess on that topic, a little swift there. I want to know because, you know, I speak a lot about my inspirations in film directors. You know, Spielberg and George Lucas have kind of paved the way for me in filmmaking. Have got me really into film, and I want to know for you who those inspirations to you are. Yeah,
man. So first, I have to pay homage to the one and only Perry Hensel, Jamaican film director, who did this brilliant movie called The Harder They Come.
Yeah,
a cult classic in the 70s.
Jimmy Cliff.
Featuring Jimmy Cliff. Yeah. You know, that's one of those movies that just has a feeling in it, you know? The way that the soundtrack works with the performance and the movement on screen and the background elements is 101. You know, you could only have captured that in that time, and I'm glad that he did it.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Uncle Spike.
Spike Lee.
Spike Lee.
Yeah.
You see me? That man there. He's not afraid to make the room uncomfortable and say something through the film that sparks conversation. And I think that's important, you know, not just doing things the easy way, but doing something that can trigger thought, you know, and bring people together ultimately.
Yeah.
Which I think his films do an amazing job at. And I just love how experimental he is and bold in his artistic choices.
Yeah.
You know, it has inspired me a lot and shown me that the audience will receive your artistic choices if done tastefully.
Yeah. I agree. I think definitely Spike Lee, he's another inspiration of mine. I think what I love about Spike is his films always portray a deeper message.
Yeah.
But, you know, he has a very specific artistic vision as well that I really like. Like a lot of his shots, composition, and a lot of his, you know, even performances, they're very intentional with a lot of what's going on. So when you really analyze his films and, you know, kind of get into it, you kind of see, you know, the difference of how he portrays different things. And it's just, I can go on and on. But,
again, details
matter. But yeah, I want to know, also kind of on the topic of, you know, modern day films and, you know, obviously these legends have paved the way. And, you know, we're kind of starting to see a bloom of the new Hollywood, you know, the new actors, directors, like who's going to be kind of taking over Hollywood in the next 20 years. You know what I'm saying? But I just want to know kind of like where you think Hollywood is at right now, like what it looks like, and what do you think it looks like in the next 15, 20 years?
Good question. So I no longer see Hollywood as a physical place. I think Hollywood can be anywhere in the world. I think in the sense that, you know, 30, 40, 50 years ago, if you wanted to be in the film industry, you'd have to buy a plane ticket to LA, California.
Yeah.
Right? And get into one of these studios.
Facts.
Now I think people can make a film wherever they are in the world using whatever equipment they have, as long as they have a great story, and still be able to sell it through the Hollywood infrastructure and industry. And also we're seeing other film markets emerge globally. India, Asia has a few. Nollywood is starting to come up, you know. So I think now it's almost, you know, similar with the evolution of technology, where everything was hardware and now it's become software.
Right.
You know, now we're living in like the Hollywood cloud, you know, where you don't have to be in a physical location to access the perks of the film industry and walk the red carpet, so to speak. So I think, you know, as we continue to evolve and as AI starts to really present itself, that's really when we're going to start to see some major change, you know, because still a lot of the technology is very similar. Like, you know, a C-stand is a C-stand and still is a C-stand. But the day that a C-stand looks differently and acts differently is when we're going to really see some change. So when we see some real, you know, revolutionary equipment change, which we're starting to see, again with AI, with mobile technology, phones and so on, the cameras there are getting a lot better.
Oh, man, yeah.
You know, so that does a whole lot. It makes it easier for you to film because it's lighter. You can move it around much easier. Yeah. The storage sizes are getting better. We were talking about that. Yeah. So you can film, you know, a 24-hour one shot and it not take up more than 10 gigabytes, for example, or what, you know, whatever. Used to be a whole room was a computer. Yeah. You know, so things are changing fast. And they're changing exponentially. Yeah. So I think within our career time, you know, the next 15, 20 years is when we're going to have to be super agile because the changes are going to be coming left, right, and center.
Man. Yeah, I think a lot of changes in the film space that I've noticed a lot of is just a saturation of everything. And what I mean by that is, like, I think the internet and the boom of the internet and like kind of in the modern time of like past 2010 to now, we've seen just like everything become a lot more accessible. I think back in the day, like, you know, you can go anywhere from 50s to 2000s, whatever. Like, or let's back up a little bit, like 90s, early 80s, 90s to 2000s, like internet was kind of on the rise, right?
Right.
2000s, like it was there. So, but it wasn't anything super prominent, right? It was just like, it wasn't like what we have today, TikTok, Instagram, whatever. It was just like on the come up. Hey, I'm Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook, blah, 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 right? But I think because of the boom of the internet and how accessible everything's coming to. I mean, you don't see nowadays. You see a 5-year-old with an iPhone, right?
Trust me.
So it's becoming a lot more accessible now. What that means is you're gonna have now a lot more people just getting on the internet. A lot more people discovering new things. Like, oh, I want to be an actor. I don't need to be an actor anymore. I could be a content creator.
Right.
And
or I could be an influencer.
I could be an influencer. Content.
Be a TikToker.
I could be a TikToker. Right. And like we've seen that these things pay. These things, people can make careers out of these things.
Right.
Right. Because, you know, it's not like, oh, I'm going to move to LA and become an actor. That might be some people's dream still. But now people start getting to the avenue of, I'm going to go to LA to become, you know, a content creator. I'm going to go do this. Right. So
it's a lot more avenues.
A lot more avenues. And I think, you know, as much as that's great to open a lot of doors, it does, you know, for the sake of Hollywood, it does definitely add a level of saturation because, you know, there was once a time when, and there's still at this time, but once a time when celebrities were just looked up as this like holy grail. Like celebrities and artists, like those are your two like celebrity figures. Now public it's like figures, you have the Kai Cenats, you have the, you know, Charlie D'Amelio's, whatever, you know, of these other niches of doors of people that are now popular. And I think what that does in a way is that kind of adds a bit of saturation to the film space. Like, you know, when people watch movies, now we're the toughest critics we've ever been.
True.
You know, we're like, another remake, another this, you know, which by the way, like Hollywood is on a remake run.
Yeah, bro. That's a great point, actually, is that the audience is the toughest it's ever been because that veil that used to be up of,
good point.
Wow, how is this done? Movie magic?
Yep.
People are starting to understand.
It's just AI now.
And then it's going to get worse. Like, you show them this beautiful sunset and people won't believe it because they're going to be like, we didn't see you take that video.
Right.
That could be AI.
Yeah.
You know?
No, that's a great point. I think a lot of people, and we're already so skeptical about a lot of things because of AI. So we're already like, is this even real? Blah, 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 or whatever. Or like, oh, I could do this with AI. AI. But I mean, at the end of the day, like, I mean, besides the internet and all the saturation, I think that there will still be people out there with opinions that, you know, just because they say one thing doesn't mean it's true, right? Just because someone says, oh, I don't like your movie, that doesn't mean it's a bad movie. It just doesn't. That's what I'm saying. Film space is so subjective. It's so, you have the right to have your opinion on what you think. It doesn't mean that it's right in a sense. It's just what you believe in. And, you know, I think that in a lot of things that people have different beliefs in, and you just have to accept that it's like, okay, maybe this group of people doesn't like my film, but let's not shine light on the people that do like my film and the people that I'm trying to build the audience for. Because, you know, I think if you just continue to try to make films just to get everybody to love it, because ultimately you want people, you kind of want
some amount of mass appeal.
You want mass appeal, but you have to have a switch that's like, okay, I'm gonna have people that are gonna say it sucks. I'm gonna have people that are gonna say this or that. Yeah. But you have to kind of like put the blinders on.
It's like what your artist Chronics say.
Chronics.
Do it for the love, don't do it for the likes.
Yeah.
You know?
Because a lot of, and on that topic of like doing it for the likes, you know, a lot of people nowadays, it's just like, it's just to go viral. You know, it's just to get attention because, but one thing about online sensations, the internet sensations, is like, it's like a time period. Like for the month of August, whatever, this one person is like super popping. July, it's like we don't even know, or September.
Sure. September, this guy's running in reverse.
Yeah, reverse. Yeah. I meant to say, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you. I get you. And so I think intention is also really important.
Facts.
You know, because if your intention is to share a positive message,
right,
get someone to laugh, get someone to learn something, then you do it for them. If that's one person in the room, you're satisfied. Mm-hmm. You know, and then also intention of just self-actualization, doing it for you. You know, doing it because you have this burning desire, and you just wanted to express yourself.
Yeah, no doubt.
So in terms of intention, what are some of your intentions and goals for this 100-day challenge?
Right. And I think we, before I get into my intentions, we should kind of break into what that 100-day challenge looks like.
For sure.
So ultimately, me and JP had decided with this Forever Film crew sort of rollout, we want to do a rollout with 100 days. Now, what that entails is 100 days of straight posting. And, we're kind of playing it smart by banking a lot of content. Like this right now is being filmed at a time, and it'll be uploaded at a different time.
It'll be uploaded next week.
But, I think that with this, I definitely want to take a goal away. The intention for me is consistency, because I've always been in the editing space and like filming space, and like I've seen a lot of things that I've wanted to accomplish, but they could just never get accomplished because consistency lacks. And a lot of people I work with that are in the content space and like want to get things going, they want to collaborate, like they struggle and they're like, like I can't like get the videos I want to go up, it's so hard. But it's like that's the one thing you have to kind of keep in mind with if you want to what your intentions are, what your goals are what they are, but you'll never get there without the consistency of it. Like it's not even has to be every day, but even twice a day, even once a week, whatever cycle you're on, is like you have to stick to something rather than nothing. Because if you're just not doing it, like waiting around, then someone else is taking your spot. Simply.
Yeah. To add on to that, this 100-day challenge is really to push us.
Yeah.
We're talking a little over 3 months of posting every single day.
Right.
And that challenges us physically, but it also challenges us intellectually, because we have to create content that's appealing and entertaining and meaningful.
Facts.
We're definitely not just going to post out clip farming. What's that new term that people are using? Clip farming.
Andrew knows about that, clip farming.
We're going to post out quality stuff,
Yeah.
And then also from more of a business standpoint, it's for us to get an understanding of what it takes to fulfill that much content.
True.
So that we can provide that for clients,
Yeah. And I think a lot of what people run into with the consistency factor is the burnout. Like they're in it for a bit and then they just get sick of it, because it's like it's a grind. I mean, as much as that debate where like, is a 9 to 5 harder than actually being a filmmaker or content creator? And I think to answer that, there's like hand in hand with both. Obviously 9 to 5 you work as hard as content creator, whatever, but I think ultimately in both, like the burnout is still real. Like you can choose to only burn out if like you just give up and just crash, right? Like you're gonna have those moments when like you're swinging and you can't swing no more. Like
Facts.
you'd not want to like another upload, or it's like.
Yeah.
But I think those are the moments that define you the most in the journey with the 100 days. In this example,
most definitely
is on day 60, am I going to go as hard as day 1 and day 100?
Exactly.
Like definitely, I got to go hard every day, 1 through 100. And with that, I hope to also accomplish, after the 100 days, just to keep going, to have the fire to just keep going. I don't want to, after the 100 days, fire's out.
Right.
And then we're just, back to the drawing board.
No.
I hope that 100 days, like, we just learn so much about the progression of the content, and then also, what we could do different, all this stuff.
True.
But,
and I mean, we're building up that momentum,
Yeah.
That's why we're
facts.
doing this sprint right now. This 100-day sprint, so we can build up the momentum, get people excited, get people to know about this community that we're building.
Right.
And centering it around service.
Yeah.
Servicing each other, servicing the films, servicing the productions. We want to bring the young film professionals together and allow them to have a space to express themselves,
Yeah. Do you think, what do you think most filmmakers lack nowadays?
Discipline, maybe. Because of that ease of accessibility, because it's so easy for you to just
Right.
take your phone up and do a video and go viral today.
Yep.
Then tomorrow you might be a little more relaxed because you feel like you've mastered it. You know? So maybe discipline and really taking the time to learn the technical competence side of filmmaking.
Bars.
You know, I would say that. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was my answer is leaning more towards confidence.
Confidence.
I think that
that's big too.
It's a good one, because I think a lot of them, you know, ultimately you're just not confident in your work. That's
right.
what people think. A lot of people are just like second guessing.
True.
They're like, is this even good? Does this look good?
And then they never do anything. They really want to be a writer director, but they work as an AC all their life.
Yeah.
And AC work is hard work. You have to be a professional to do that.
You got to know what you're doing.
You have to know what you're doing.
Got to know what you're doing.
So we don't want someone who's just settling to be an AC. We want an AC.
Yeah.
But if you really want to be a writer-director, have some confidence, have some discipline.
Facts.
And go be a writer-director. You know what I mean?
You know, a good quote from our late professor, Lance Fisher. He says, he goes...
I mean, he's still alive.
No, I know. I meant like late professor, as in we used to have.
Or former professor.
Yeah, former professor. Shout out Lance Fisher. But he told us a story about camera operating, because he was that guy back in the day with the cameras. And he was mentioning a story about how he would say that they would ask him, you know, oh, have you ever dropped a camera? And he would say, you know, no. And then they would be like, okay, like, you're done. You can't work for us. And he's like, what? And the analogy behind that is, you know, obviously, you know, you're going to want to say no, because it's like, all right, drop the camera. Nah, it's like, I'm that good. But that means your time's coming. Right? You want to have been like, oh yeah, a couple times, because you don't want to have the mess up be on this time, this
True.
set. Right? So I thought that was a very funny little quote he said.
That just shows you that you have to be in the dirt.
Yes.
You have to get in the grit. You have to get dirty. You have to just be all in it, you know? Filmmaking is not like a pretty sport or like a pretty craft, you know? You have to get in it, you know?
Yeah, true.
In the paint.
Yeah. You got to, I mean, even this goes back to early days in Santa Barbara, in Lompoc, for those no deeper, but I just say Santa Barbara because that's what people know. But back in the day when it was just me, a couple buddies, and my little camera, there were times, man, where I'm the director and getting dirty, like, because we did a zombie film, and like a lot of that like required like blood, all this stuff. So, you know, by the second film, shout out Colin, he had like got interested in like the whole like not prosthetics, but like the blood effects and all that. So me and him like worked a lot with like that. And I remember this scene we did where it was like a stabbing scene, and like this was a one take, because basically I had this like bag attached to my chest, and like it was like I think I had like capsules or like mouthful of blood, right? And I was a zombie, like getting attacked and stabbed.
So you were a director and actor.
Yeah, because you know that's how tight the budget was. I was director, actor, whatever.
No budget.
No type of budget. But I remember it was like a one take thing, like face paint and all. I looked like a zombie, whatever. And I just remember just like I have like BTS clips. It's like funny. It's like this taped up packet of blood, and just like I remember it looked cool, like on camera, just like stabbing it, and then like it just gushed out. But those were times, and like it's like those were the times I loved the most, because you know it was it was just having fun. It was just experimenting. It was like, I mean, obviously like I had the most insight on the set about film knowledge and everything, but I just loved the fact of collaborating with my friends and just having fun.
Right.
Like, because we ultimately I looked at it as a hangout. We're just hanging out, because like we're in a small town. Like, you know, literally a fun night in my town was going to Walmart at night, or just going to the city over. That's how you know it was like that. So, you know, I think bringing the film aspect to the friend group definitely helped elevate a lot of those hangout sessions for sure.
Facts, and it shows you that film is ultimately about storytelling.
Facts.
And it highlights the community element of film.
Right.
You know, which is what you want. You want your crew to feel like friends and family. You know, that's what allows the time to go by so smoothly. Yeah. And for people to really put in 110%.
Yeah.
You know, so that's great. Those are the best days, man. Hold on to those memories, you know.
Yeah. What did those early days of film look like for you?
A lot of solo filming, you know. Until I got to until I started to do music with my brethren, Brandon
Marsh.
Then we would film our music videos and thing. Before that though, it was just solo on the iMovie, posting them on Facebook for people to laugh at.
Right.
You know, so you know, those early days I was a lot more introspective. I was creating from a place of solitude, which I've learned now is a part of my my craft, a part of my formula, is to tap into that solitude because, you know, I guess it's so familiar from when I was a child, you know?
Right. You were definitely the class clown, right?
The class clown? Nah, bro. Yo, I'm not getting into it.
No, episode 2, huh?
Episode 2.
No, I think, I think even early back in like, I remember in 8th grade, we had this talent show. And I remember for the talent show, I did like a short film. Yeah. And like, it was like everybody's performance is like singing, drumming, or like magic tricks, whatever. And I was like, bust out the projector, throw a little film on that. I thought it was pretty sick.
Man, that's like Believe.
Yeah. I think because a lot of those times, looking back, even, you know, like 8th grade, early on as 8th grade and beyond, that was a time where like it was just like nothing else mattered but just doing film stuff, just like wanting to be creative. Even fast forwarding to my the end of my basketball career in like Santa Barbara City when I was playing there. This is where I kind of realized, because like at the time, like I had a family friend neighbor who like kind of brought me into the sport of basketball like growing up. And I remember, you know, COVID, after graduation and everything, just going over there. Oh, what's your plans after high school and stuff? Just go to whatever school, study for film. Like, oh, what about basketball? I'm like, nah, I'm kind of done with that, you know, because it's like at that point, it's like if by then I haven't had any offers, really, it's like what now? So I just like I was okay with leaving that behind, not ending it, but like just leaving it professionally over. But then he was just like, oh, you should still play. I'm like, I don't know. He's like, well, think about it, because, you know, you still have time left and like you never know. And I was like, all right, you know, you're right. So, you know, even though it was like during COVID times, it was kind of a weird position in the world of sports. It still definitely opened my eyes to a lot of things, like a lot of discipline factors, you know, you learn a lot just transitioning from high school sports to college sports. Yeah. Especially that just definitely takes a mental and physical toll on you. But I think later on, like, you know, in the season, I just remember like this shift of like, you know, because at the time I was still doing film classes at SBCC, Santa Barbara. So I think just seeing where my mind was all the time, you know, at the end of the practices, I would just like it literally came to the point where like I'm in practices and like we had this thing where like seniors were on the team and like we wanted to do like a video for them. And like I was like, oh, coach, we should like mic them up. It'd be cool in the practice. And he's like, all right, yeah, do it. And I remember like we're in practice and I'm like setting my camera up and like micing them up, and like coach is like,
you're the camera guy.
Yeah, he was like,
he was film guy.
He was like, hey, get in the game, man. I'm like, oh, it's
like, right. Coach, this is what I really care about.
No, yeah. He's like, stop being Spielberg for 1 second, get in the game, man. I'm like, but that moment, what I was like, yeah, this is it. Because, and even shout out my mom, because this is like, I remember talking to my counselor about like, you know, what's next. And I remember talking to her, she's like, yeah, you know, because like the amount of film credits I had needed to graduate with an associate's degree was like a couple more, so that meant another year. I've been there for 2 years already. Usually 2 years is associates, but for the amount of credits you would need 3 years. Happens sometimes. But I remember I was like, okay, that's fine, whatever. And I was like, hey mom, counselor said another year at SBCC. She's like, wait, like why? I'm like, oh, just the credits and stuff. And then she was like, oh, what about film school, NIFA. And then, funny enough, with NIFA, I actually did a visit in 2018. I remember it was like, it just came on the map. Like I was doing a bunch of visits, like UCs around LA and stuff. And that was on the map. And, you know, I was very like, okay, like it wasn't like anything like super, like I'm in it, but it was just like back pocket. Cause I really have wanted to go to UC at the time. But, I just remember she was like, oh yeah, what about that school? I'm like, yeah, that could be cool. I'm like, but I don't know. I think do this 1 year. She's like, nah, like why would you waste your time just doing another year? Like just go. And I'm like, oh, you're right. And I remember talking to my counselor. I'm like, hey, that whole thing I just said about another year, let's scratch that. Let me just go to this school, NIFA. And she's like, oh, looks like you don't need any transfer credits. Like you could just go right away. And I'm like, all right, bet. So pack the bags.
NIFA.
Dip to LA. So when I'd moved to LA and was going to NIFA, during the time in SB, I was watching this show called Winning Time. It was a HBO show. It kind of depicted the Lakers Celtics rivalry in the 80s and stuff. And cool show. And I really loved how the characters look, because the characters, like the actors that played the characters looked like spot on to the actual play, like Magic Johnson, you know, like Kareem Abdul, whatever. So I remember watching the show because actually a classmate of mine had put me on to the show. And I never really thought into deep of like, oh, I could be on the show or whatever.
Right.
Until fast forward, one of the actors that plays, he plays Magic, his name's Quincy Isaiah, I believe. I'd followed him just because I was like, oh, it's cool, Magic Johnson. And he'd reposted this thing on a story that said Winning Time auditions in Burbank. I was like, oh, shit. And I read it, and I was like, it was like, must be at least like 6 foot, whatever. I'm like, all right, check.
Perfect.
Must be tall, skinny, check. Must be basketball. Like, I'm like, all right, let me go pull up, you know? Because at the time, it was a week or two before school started. I was doing orientation, so I was like, might as well, you know, get used to the city, like get involved.
Right.
So I pull up there, Brody, like 500 people there. They all look taller, bigger, stronger than me. So I'm just like, I'm feeling a little discouraged. I'm like, I don't know, because I was just like, everybody around me, I was like, oh yeah, these guys fit the part. These guys look like they're from the 80s. These guys look like they're hoopers. So I was like, whatever. So I get there, and no one really knows what the audition is. It's like, we just think we're going to go in there, hey, my name is whatever. But we go in the gym. I remember like getting too close to it, and like you can see in the window door, like you can see what they're doing. The director's sitting there, like on the court. It's a basketball court, and there's someone, like people going there next, like drop the paper off, get the basketball, do a layup, and do a shot. I'm like, all right, I think I got this. So I remember walking in there. He's like, come on. Oh, okay. Hand the paper, hands me the ball, do a layup, sprint down the court, do another layup, and he's like, that's all I need to see. And to me, I took that as, oh,
not gonna get.
I'm cooked, right? Because I only took that as I'm cooked because he had everybody do more stuff. He was like, have him do a shot, do this. So I'm like, oh, I got cut off early. I'm cooked. So I remember going home, whatever. I was telling my mom, dad, I was like, yeah, I went all right. I don't think I'm gonna get it. I think there's other dudes, whatever, that are better than me. And then I remember just doing the orientation stuff. I get a call from a New York number. I'm just like, oh, what is this? I'm just decline, whatever. Right. And then that number hits me on text. Hey, it's so-and-so from Winning Time. We want to give you the role for this. Bam. And I just drop everything. I'm like, I end the Zoom in, the knife of Zoom. I'm like, you, whatever. And I just remember calling my mom, and I was like, dude, I got the role. Like, what do I do? Like, what about school? And she's like, oh, you got to defer. You got to, like, get out of there. And I'm just like, shit. And I remember telling someone on the knife board or whatever, just, like, telling them, just, hey, like, basically, I'm in this production. I don't know how because they said the availability needed to be from August to January. I didn't know if that was every day. I didn't know if that was whatever. It ended up being like, it could have worked out with NIFA. Like I could have done both, but in that moment I had not known. I couldn't let this go. Like this is
it's a good opportunity. You know?
This is the opportunity. Like just moving to LA and you get something like that.
Exactly.
Like you need that. So obviously took that. And at the same time, I was also working at Horror Nights. So at the same time, I was trying to tell them like I couldn't do it, but this was in the process where like it was a balance. Like I could do both because like the stuff I had to do was during the day and Horror Nights was at night. So I ended up doing both. And yeah, just fast forward. Then January rolls around. I'm pretty much done with the production.
Yeah.
And then now I'm at NIFA.
And that's where we met. See?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to think that, because like if it wasn't for that, I would have been in school like from August, and I think we definitely would have I probably still would have met you because, we were still in the same AFA. We probably would have eventually been in that one class.
Maybe, yeah.
But it would have been like more of a you're tall. Oh,
right.
Nice shoes. That's it. Yeah. But nothing like FFC wouldn't even be.
Oh man,
it's kind of crazy, eh?
So you took a leap of faith, Zine, and believed in yourself, had confidence.
Yeah.
Thanks to the encouragement of your mom, you took a bold step.
100%.
What is some advice you give to our first listeners out there who are possibly in your position?
Dude, I mean, you just gotta take a risk. Ultimately, like, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be something that you're gonna think you're gonna regret. You're gonna be like, oh, like I'm in an uncomfortable space, like, because it's gonna get uncomfortable at points. Like, you're gonna have very much highs, you're gonna have lows, and you're gonna be broke. Like, you're gonna be in these positions that, it's gonna be hard because ultimately, that leap to LA especially is hard, man. Like, it's still hard right now.
Right.
And it's very discouraging. LA and Hollywood chew you up, spit your ass out.
Right.
Just like that. So there's a lot of discouragement on paper, but don't let that discourage you fully about taking that leap, because ultimately that leap, that risk, that push you need is on you, not anybody else.
Right.
Like, I can tell you, take that risk, take that leap, but it's for you to actually listen to yourself and be like, I'm going to take it. So ultimately, I think that whatever it is, filmmaking, being an artist, being in the space, whatever, because taking that risk not only is it's for yourself at the end of the day.
Right.
It's, if you have a dream, whatever it is in the filmmaking space, whatever, and what's holding you back is, it's just so far, it's just this, the money and everything. It's like, but if your dream is really your dream, you'll make it work. You'll slowly integrate yourself into where you need to be. If LA is a space to be, get there. Jamaica is a space to be, get there. Wherever it may be.
Right.
I think that it's just ultimately down to what's holding you back, and it's yourself.
Wicked. I think that's a great way to close off,
Right.
And I think we should encourage the viewers to believe in their dreams.
Gotta believe.
What I mean?
Yeah.
And go for it. This is the time. Things are changing, so be a part of that change. Let your voice be heard.
Absolutely. I love that. This is the time. Things are changing. Those two phrases itself, because Hollywood and what we depict as LA is rapidly changing. People are going in and out. Things are changing. You just have to be on top of what's now.
Yeah.
And if you're not in custom of what's now, what's popping, what's going on,
you get left behind.
And they will leave you behind. And they will not, the bus, not come back.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Mad.
Well, thank you guys for watching the first episode of the FFC pod, Forever Film Crew.
Signing out.
We're forever, Stay tuned for episode 2. Any sneak peeks or nah?
No sneak peeks, but let's just say it's going to be fire.
Don't miss it.
Don't.